back, there are so many things, so many threads that wove the fabric of our lives. The war in Vietnam, days of protest, My Lai and Khe Sanh. It's 1972. Richard Nixon's in the White House. The sky above Hanoi is filled with the dust of shattered lives, and Watergate is still a burglary away. 1972. The Middle East smolders. It's the era of shuttle diplomacy, the hijack and the hostage. It's a world running on a fuel that will never run out, where gold is bought and sold for $50 an ounce. But most of all, it's the age of rebellion. It's a time of civil disobedience and urban terrorism, of a revolution in thoughts and values. Never before in all the world has there been such a breakup. But I want to tell you about our country and some things which happened then that nearly tore it apart. This isn't going to be easy. It's still there in our memory. For many Australians, bitterness is never far away. But maybe now we can understand, and to understand is to forgive. It began here on December the 2nd, 1972. For the first time in 23 years, the Australian Labor Party, its roots deep in the trade union movement, wins government. Their leader is Edward Gough Whitlam, eminent lawyer, student of the classics, 21st Prime Minister of Australia. His ministers include Dr. James Ford Cairns, author, intellectual of the left, the man who led 70,000 anti-war protesters through the streets of Melbourne. R.F.X. Connor, Minister for Minerals and Energy, the jealous guardian of Australia's vast resources, and Bill Hayden, the former policeman who will one day assume the leadership of his party. 23 years in the wilderness, time for 1,000 dreams. Conscription abolished, the draft resistors freed, the dollar revalued, foreign policy rewritten. China is recognized, aid to South Vietnam stopped, French nuclear tests condemned. For the first time, an Australian government champions racial equality, encourages the arts, and promotes Australian ownership of Australian resources. But even while the fanfares sound, the danger signs emerge. A shortage of labor and materials, increased costs, rising prices, booming wages. Inflation takes off, almost doubling during Labour's first year. The opposition attacks. Led by Billy Mackey Snedden, they threaten to use their majority in the Senate to block the flow of money to the government. Whitlam immediately calls an election for both houses of Parliament. For the second time in 18 months, the country casts its vote. In the Senate, the parties poll each other to a standstill. Labour 29, Liberal Country Party Coalition 29, Independents 2. In the House of Representatives, E.G. Whitlam leads his party to victory, the first Labour Prime Minister ever re-elected to office. Eight weeks later, Whitlam's personal choice as Governor-General is sworn in as the representative of the British Crown in Australia, the titular head of state. John Robert Kerr is a choice Whitlam will regret the rest of his life. But in July 1974, the appointment arouses little interest. To most Australians, the Governor-General is the ceremonial relic of another era. The real issues facing the country remain economic. The price of oil rises, the world recession deepens, Australia staggers. Unemployment and inflation break all post-war records. Economic policies are adopted, contradicted and discarded. Profits are squeezed, confidence destroyed, businesses fail. It's October 1974. Australia, the lucky country, no more. Even while the Australian economy falters, there are those in the government who won't let go their dreams. The Arab oil embargo and spiralling fuel costs make them even more determined to exploit Australia's vast mineral and energy resources. The cost of such projects is huge, counted not in tens or hundreds, but thousands of millions of dollars. Lured by the promise of cheap petrodollars, the Australian government stumbles into a shadowy world populated by commodity brokers, deal makers and fringe financiers. A place where there's often nothing more than a name on a door and a commission in mind.
Mr. Kemlani? Would you like something else?
Please, please, could I have some more coffee? Thank you very much.
Of course.
Here, Jared, take a look at this. They want big money. It's too big for me.
Australia's credit rating is most excellent.
You think your friends in the Middle East could help?
Oh, no doubt. Australia's credit is AAA, I think.
For $500 million, it needs to be. Are you interested?
Of course. I have a most excellent friend, a banker in Saudi Arabia. And others, you know, petrodollar.
Yeah, good. Let's check this with Hong Kong first.
Of course.
$500 million. What's that?
Your commission.
In Australia, inflation and unemployment continue to strike deep into the country, fueling an increasingly bitter political debate. The Forum is the House of Representatives, dominated by the 66 members of the Labour Party, who together constitute the government. Their ranks include 13 trade union officials, 6 school teachers, 2 boilermakers, and an engine driver. Ranged against them is the opposition, a coalition of two traditionally conservative parties. The junior partner, the Country Party, fields amongst its members 14 farmers, a Presbyterian minister, and a retired colonel. The Liberal Party, the advocate of private enterprise, includes 11 lawyers, 6 company directors, and a brace of ex-prime ministers.
For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Between them, the Speaker, the man elected by the House of Representatives to preside over the House itself. By common agreement, a difficult job in the best of times, an almost impossible task in the worst, and these are the worst of times.
Questions without notice. Any Order! 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 Order!
We are in the middle of the highest number of strikes on record since the Depression. In the middle of the highest inflation rate we have known for decades. We could have been a great country today. Make no mistake about it. In the future, we will be a great country. Today there is no country in the world.
Unemployment. Every country in the Western world has faced these problems. No country in the Western world has solved them. Our record stands up well beside that of any comparable nation.
They ought to be ashamed of themselves. For strangled. Not experience of 19.5 years in this house. I have never seen such an exhibition of rowdyism. In 19.5 years, I have never seen such an exhibition of rowdyism. The Prime Minister will be heard in silence.
Before the leader of the opposition can credibly talk about leadership, let him serve his apprenticeship. Let him do some on-the-job training. Or better still, some adult retraining. In the meantime, let us get on with our job. Let us, the government and the people of Australia, get on with the job of fighting inflation.
Yeah, when are you going to start?
Restoring full employment and building a better Australia.
Order! Order!
By early November, the government's unorthodox loan-raising efforts are showing promise. Pakistani commodities dealer Tirath Hasaram Kemlani, a former dress designer once married to a Scottish policewoman, tells the government he can raise at least $500 million from Arab oil interests. His existence unknown to either the press or public, Kemlani arrives in Australia on November the 11th, 1974. Exactly 1 year later, the Labour government will be dismissed from office.
You've seen my references and a letter of introduction from my London bank.
I certainly have, Mr. Kemlani.
And, Mr. Connor, Your Excellency, I have given you assurances of my most excellent contacts in the Middle East. So, therefore, I would like to say at the outset, truthfully, that if you wish me to act on behalf of the government, I must have a letter of mandate. And my company wishes me to arrive at a formula for a commission. You understand?
I understand, Mr. Kemlani, that to you it's a matter of commission. But you must understand that to me, it's about the future of my country. Now look at this. I want to build a natural gas pipeline from the Cooper Basin here, up to Palm Valley, across to Dampier, and down to Perth. 84 miles of it, Mr. Kemlani, underwater. Pipelines alone will cost $400 million. I want another $400 million for a petrochemical plant at Dampier. Let's use the resources we've got, Mr. Kemlani, not shell out good money importing the stuff.
I understand, Your Excellency.
However, in the case of another Arab oil embargo, I'll buy a year's supply and leave it in the ground till we need it. We're not going to catch cold every time they sneeze. Now, look at the Northern Territory, Mr. Kemlani. Chock-a-block with uranium. You get me the money, Mr. Kemlani, and I'll build uranium mining and milling plants. Not just one, but 3. And a uranium enrichment plant.
Make sure you check these figures. They're absolutely right.
Excuse me, miss.
No charge.
Excuse me, but we've been waiting over an hour and a half.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Mr. Connor's still got someone with him.
We did make an appointment.
Mr. Connor, the 2 gentlemen from the Oil Exploration Company are still waiting.
I haven't got time, Joan. Besides, I'm not interested in hillbillies that come to Canberra.
Sitting around after tax concessions before they sell off Australia to overseas interests.
You bloody shysters. Making fortunes at the expense of your fellow Australians. Why don't you whine around these louts? They're your stooges around here, aren't they?
Come on, John, we're wasting our time here.
Pardon my French, Mr. Kemlani, but those fellas have had the ear of government for too long in this country. Australian oil belongs to the Australian people. And while I'm here, I mean to see that they hang on to it. Now, where was I?
Uranium, Your Excellency.
Right. That's all in the north and the west. And there's research to be done to other things like hydrogeneration, solar energy.
So many things, Mr. Connor.
Brother, I've spent a lifetime getting into this office. And I haven't got time to waste. The Whitlam government has a mandate to reform Australia. If we don't do it now, we never will. If we fail in this, the resources of this country will be in the hands of greedy businessmen who want lurks and perks and tax write-offs. They want to sell off Australia bit by bit to foreigners. In the end, there'll be nothing left for the people who live here. You with me?
With respect, Mr. Connor, you said the building of the pipeline alone would cost $400 million.
I'll be straight with you, Mr. Kimlani. I want more than $400 million, a lot more. 4,000 million.
4 billion US dollars.
Australian dollars, Mr. Kimlani. Australian. We're going to buy back the farm. We're going to run our own show.
$4 billion, all at once.
Can you get it?
The money's there, of course, but it will take time.
How long?
That will depend.
On what?
On you, Mr. Connor.
How do you mean?
I must have your authority, and I must have the letter of mandate to act on behalf of the Australian government.
Would you ask to come over? And when he arrives, would you come in too, please? And bring your notebook?
Miss Burgess. She's just round the corner. Excuse me. I'm Junie Morosi. I have an appointment with Dr. Cairns.
Yes, I'll wait. 11:15?
That's right.
One moment, please. Jim, Junie Morosi here to see you.
Oh, good. Show her in, will you, Maxine?
The bird from Al Gresby's office.
Yeah.
Miss Morosi?
James Ford Cairns, Deputy Prime Minister, is a man whose life is about to undergo a revolution. By nature an idealist, he has become increasingly disillusioned with the political process. Several years later, he is to say that he was a man living behind a mask. Junie Morosi, born in Shanghai, raised in Manila, is now an employee of the Commissioner for Community Relations. At 41 and 3 times married, she is the holder of an arts degree and a disciple of personal liberation. It is government business which introduces them, but forthright and intelligent, she is quick to challenge Cairns' ideas.
As you've read the book, you'll know that I didn't set out to write an autobiography. I set out to make people think about some issues.
Yes. What do you feel about those issues?
Well, what I feel about them is irrelevant, surely.
Irrelevant?
Well, don't you think that feelings only cloud the issues, that they distort the truth?
No. Feelings lead you to the truth. I have spent 30 years trying to put myself in touch with my feelings.
Have you? I find that a remarkably self-centered philosophy of life. I mean, you've spent 30 years exploring yourself.
You've spent 50 years and know nothing about yourself.
I wouldn't say that. Maxine, I'm just going to lunch. I'll be in the lobby. So just bear with me, and I'll be back, Steve. I'll be back later on.
And so begins a friendship which in the months ahead will be written in headlines. The media will christen her Supergirl. The issue, the Morosi affair. Throughout the latter part of 1974, opposition leader Bill Snedden carries the fight to the government. In a matter of weeks, he will realize he should have been looking over his shoulder. Led by Tony Staley, there are some Liberals who are becoming increasingly disenchanted with Snedden's performance.
He has blamed the multinationals. He has blamed the Treasury. He has blamed big business.
Staley, former lecturer in political science, shares a Canberra house with a prominent Liberal, a wealthy grazier called Malcolm Fraser.
He has blamed caucus. He has blamed his own cabinet. He has blamed the nervous Nellies. He has blamed the Senate. He has blamed worldwide forces. He has blamed the state governments. It's time he bought a mirror and looked into it.
His great disadvantage in the Liberal organisation is that he did not go to the correct school and he is not well connected. It is not the fact that he is not a mammoth brains truster and does not have a particular style. It's because he is not one of the gentry. He was not born to rule.
Order! Mr. Speaker! Order! Point of order, Mr. Speaker! Point of order, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister should withdraw that remark.
Right Honourable Dingo should withdraw to his hole.
Order! 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 Order!
The Prime Minister will resume his speech and the House will come to order.
I take a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I agree, Phil. I thought you were in Staley's office. It's a shame you fellas left.
Oh, I'd had enough.
It was all over, wasn't it? No, we had Whitlam on the run. I was sorry you left, Eric.
The economy's their really weak point. We should hammer them every time.
Fair enough.
We had you on the ropes there, Billy. Gough just loves the sound of his own voice. Look, I'll leave you chaps to it. I've got a couple of journos waiting. Why don't you all pop around and have a drink with me later?
Look, it's okay for Whitlam to rave on about the gentry and all that born-to-rule bullshit. His father didn't die when he was 8, and he didn't sell newspapers to put himself through school.
G'day, Phil.
Bill Snedden rose from that to become the leader of the Liberal Party. It's what the Liberal Party's all about, and he deserves your support.
In this game, gentlemen, a man can be popular or respected, but not both.
Careful, Tony. You want Labour in the headlines, not us.
But he's so nice.
Oh, Bill's so nice. It's grotesque.
What's his problem?
Being nice is hardly a problem. After all, he nearly won the last election.
That's the problem. He didn't win.
Australian's like a tough bloke in power, not just a good bloke.
Whitlam's eating him for breakfast.
I think Lynch is right. Why stir up a hornet's nest now?
Bit worried, are you?
It's all right for you blokes. I'm in a marginal seat. I got in by 12 votes. On a recount.
Yes, I do sympathise. Look, it's not just a matter of finding a match for Whitlam. The Liberal Party stands for nothing anymore. We need someone to give it focus. Now, Malcolm is the only one, and as you know, Ian, he is not afraid to go for the jugular.
Fraser stand?
You were sure of the numbers he would.
I know he would.
I can give leadership to my team, and they will all follow me. If I asked them to walk through the valley of death on hot coals. They'd do it. Every one of my colleagues trusts me. Everyone recognises my political judgment. And if I say something must be thus, then thus it will be. That's why I'm leader. Good on you, Bill.
Bill Snedden assures the business community that he can and will lead the party. Staley and his colleagues embark on an enterprise as old as politics itself. The numbers game, a game of persuasion, prediction, and chance.
There is.
Well, we won't get Gordon. Gordon hates Fraser's guts.
Well, speak of the devil.
What's happening?
We were just talking about Snedden.
Well, I won't interrupt. See you later.
See you, Malcolm. Cotton?
At last there remains only one more vote to canvass, that of Sir Robert Gordon Menzies, Australia's longest-serving Prime Minister, the founder of the Liberal Party. While he has not held a seat in Parliament for almost a decade, the man once known as Ming the Merciless still wields substantial influence.
Sir Robert? It's Tony Staley.
Oh, yeah.
I took the liberty of using your private number, sir.
What can I do for you, Staley?
I won't beat around the bush, sir. I'm going to move a spill of the party leadership.
I see. In favor of whom?
Malcolm Fraser, sir.
My dear boy, I wish you well. But you're doomed to fail.
Why is that, sir?
Your colleagues are all stupid up there, you see. The answer's obvious.
Huh?
Malcolm. Malcolm's the only one.
And so with Menzies' blessing, and daily more damaging speculation appearing in the press, the challenge is mounted, culminating in a vote by the Parliamentary Liberal Party on November the 27th, 1974.
Fraser. Snedden. Fraser. Fraser. Snedden. Fraser. Snedden. Snedden.
It is finished. It will be finished. The matter will not arise again. Ought not to arise again. The Liberal Party and Country Party in coalition are now poised to win the next election, whenever that may be. And now, we've cleared the air. The rumours that have been persisting for some time ought now to be regarded as baseless, without foundation. And that anybody who repeats them ought to be regarded as a mere peddler of rumour.
But despite Bill Snedden's confidence, the leadership challenge isn't over. To Malcolm Fraser, it's only just begun. As November turns to December, Jim Cairns is promoted to treasurer, and acquaintance turns to friendship.
Junie, I want you to come and work for me. As my principal assistant. You don't think it's a good idea?
No, not really.
Why?
If we are friends, working together could spoil that.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. That first day you came into my office, talked about feelings, I thought you were talking through your hat. Now I realize how wrong I've been. I mean, God, look at me. I have no music. I can't dance a step. I'm as clumsy as an elephant. I've spent my life working for social change, looking for the causes of suppression. I thought it was economic. I thought it was the unequal distribution of wealth and power. But it's not. The original suppression is in man himself. It's in the individual. It's in me. You taught me that. We can teach others. Come and work with me.
But the press and opposition are dredging Morosi's past, auditing her business affairs, questioning her morality. More damaging yet, there's a whispering campaign, innuendo, rumor, insinuation.
They should be able to say things about him. But Junie Morosi's got him twisted round his little finger.
Yeah, well, that's not the word in the bar. Listen, love, all I know is you know the bloke a lot better than I do. I'm just here to do a job. I reckon that's all you do.
Yes, but part of got...
Stomach playing up, Jeff, is it? You got a minute, Maxine?
Yeah, sure.
Supposed to be meeting some delegation or other tonight at 9 o'clock, but Gough wants me over at the lodge. You all right?
Fine.
And what's the problem?
I've heard Junie Morosi's going to be your personal secretary.
Yes, that's right.
I know you think I'm silly, but...
Maxine, sit down. Now, what's the problem?
Do you think it's wise?
Junie's very good at her work, if that's what you meant.
Jeff and I have been talking about it, and we think...
Jeff, I think you better come in here and we'll all talk about it, okay?
It's a lousy idea, mate.
We don't think it's wise politically.
In what way?
Well, people are only too ready to misunderstand.
Maxine, how long have we been working together? 15 years?
On and off.
Have we ever cared what people thought? People said we were ratbags when we first opposed that war in Vietnam. We were the lunatic fringe. But they soon changed the way they thought about that issue, didn't they?
Vietnam is political. Junie Morosi's not a moratorium.
But it's still a political issue. We're fighting the same things. Ignorance, prejudice, and racism. And in this case, if you like, sexism. Look, what's happening? I'm appointing a very capable woman to my staff. And suddenly everybody gets terrified. And why? Because she's good-looking, because she's a woman, and because she's Asian. I'm amazed you can't see that. Both of you.
Okay, Jeff.
Maxine. Now, look, you were once married to my stepson, Philip. Now you're both working for me, and I was accused of nepotism. Now, I didn't care about that, because you're both good at your jobs, and I trust you. I mean, you can't work with people unless you trust them. And I trust Junie. All right?
The beautiful secretary and the cabinet minister threaten to overshadow even the economy as a major political issue.
She said me?
Yeah.
Half his luck, I suppose.
Hey, Phil, you seen this?
Oh, yeah. The shit's really hit the fan for Dr. Jim.
Whitlam must be fuming.
She's very attractive.
Oh, poor old Dr. Jim.
Well, we have a lot to can, gentlemen. Taking the heat out of our leadership problems. Before long, we can attempt another spill.
Of course it's unfair, but this is politics, mate.
Lionel, there's a principle at stake.
There's a Queensland election at stake, too. Think what all this could do to the Labor Party.
I think the Labor Party is grossly exaggerating the whole thing. I don't think the people out there in the electorate give a damn.
If Jenny had a head like a horse, nobody would give a damn. The people are pretty small-minded when it comes to cabinet ministers and beautiful secretaries.
Well, that's not Junie's fault, is it?
Well, so what? Face the facts. Now, if she stays, the press will hound you. Yes, every time you want to talk about politics, some idiot with shorthand will ask you about Junie.
Yes, I know, Lionel. I know that, but I have no choice.
Why not?
Lionel, you know the rumors that are around about Junie. They range from the scurrilous to the fantastic. Now, if I sack her, I'm saying yes to all that. Oh, no. No, no. If she goes, I go.
Jim, I really think Lionel is right. I should resign.
This place thrives on rumor, Jim.
As soon as all this nonsense is over, she comes back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Morosi.
She's called her own press conference.
Prime Minister Dr. John Kerr today met with the press to clarify details of a recent resignation.
I'd hope to protect you from the media. She's going to tell us
Now, live to the conference.
The media have turned her into a circus. She's got a right to defend herself.
Thank you for coming. We're here to answer your questions.
Mr. Rossi, in last Saturday's Queensland elections, Labor lost 22 seats. Do you see your appointment on the staff of Dr. Cairns as being in any way related to this landslide against Labor?
My position in the government is of no importance. I feel that I have not been allowed to do the work to which I was appointed simply because I'm a woman.
Have you had any relationships with Dr. Cairns or Dr.
Are you being driven out of camera?
The events of the past 2 weeks have made it impossible for me to continue my work for Dr. Cairns. I decided to go back to my original job.
Wouldn't you say that you are capitalizing on this affair by selling your story to the Sun?
I did not sell my story to the Sun. I received no money.
Then who has been advising you on who to speak to in the press and who not to speak to?
Well, until today, I have spoken really to no one directly except those reporters who accosted me personally.
Well, how do you feel now? How do you feel now at this press conference with all these cameras going on this affair? How do you feel at the moment?
I wish it hadn't been necessary.
Mr. Rossi, there's been a lot of innuendo as regards to...
I'm sorry, but I seem to have been subjected to a trial by innuendo. I have been subjected to a kind of searching that would destroy a lot of other people. There's no truth in any of these things. I've not hurt anyone. I've done nothing wrong. I have nothing to be afraid of.
How did you get the job with Dr. Cairns? Did you ask him for the job?
He offered it to me.
Do you hold any resentment to the people that have done this to you?
No. I feel sorry.
I mean, would the fact that you're a woman have any bearing on the fact that you've had to resign your position?
Well, as it turned out, it was obvious. Yes, I'm a woman. I'm Asian. And those facts come close to the hub of the matter. If I were Anglo-Saxon, white, if I were a man, I would never be subjected to all this.
Did Mr. Murphy influence your decision to resign?
I decided myself to resign after talking with Mr. Murphy and Dr. Cairns.
When did you decide to resign?
On the evening of Friday the 13th of December, Gough Whitlam presides over a meeting of the Executive Council. The pinnacle of Australia's system of government, consisting of the Governor-General and members of the Cabinet, the Executive Council gives formal effect to a host of government decisions. This night there is only one matter before it, the matter of a loan of $4,000 million. Shortly before midnight, in anticipation of Tirath Kemlani making good his promises, the Executive Council authorizes the Minister for Minerals and Energy to borrow the money. If Rex Connor is successful, it will be the culmination of a lifelong dream, the reward for a lifetime in politics. He will also have succeeded in realizing what is undoubtedly one of the biggest loans in history.
And thank you, gentlemen.
This has been a momentous meeting.
The Governor-General, Sir John Kerr, is in Sydney, having left Canberra unaware that a meeting of the Executive Council may be called. The following morning, the loan documents are sent to him for signature.
Are you ready to sign it, sir? The minute. Are you ready to sign it? You seem to be in something of a hurry.
With the loan raising officially sanctioned, the Prime Minister embarks on an epic overseas tour. The rest of the country drifts into the long Christmas vacation. Cyclone Tracy, the country's worst natural disaster. Winds of 100 miles an hour, 65 dead, 41,000 homeless. One man, the acting Prime Minister, touches the nation with his tireless work, his genuine compassion. It's Jim Kearns' finest hour.
How long is it going to take to get working again?
4 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that, yes.
So that's given the immediate availability of the
That's
material.
What's the government doing to help the people of Darwin who's lost everything in the cyclone?
Well, we're doing everything in our power. The government's organising a massive relief operation. As you know, there have already been airlifts of food, clothing and medical supplies. My wife and I have met with the victims of the disaster, and I've been assessing the vast resettlement, relief and building projects needed. Morale and courage is very high, and it's been quite an honour to move, often silently among them, and to try and share a little of their tragedy and their courage.
Dr. Kearns has been said that you intend to re-engage Junie Morosi as your private secretary. Is there any truth in that?
No comment.
It is true. He will rehire Junie Morosi. Within 6 months, Jim Kearns will be dismissed from office, his career in tatters. As the new year begins, Jim Kearns is also showing interest in tapping Arab funds. Now under attack for reappointing Junie Morosi to his staff, he wants the money to develop Australian industry. George Harris, an acquaintance of Dr. Kearns, offers to make loan inquiries for the government while visiting Europe. Harris, formerly a dentist at Pentridge Jail, is a Melbourne businessman and president of the Carlton Football Club. For Kearns, the beginnings of the loans affair are trivial, its consequences tragic. On March the 5th, 1975, George Harris has an appointment in the office of the Treasurer.
My name's Harris.
The purpose of the visit is to collect a letter which will help him in his attempts to organise a loan for the Australian government. In the months ahead, the contents of this letter from Dr. Kearns to George Harris will become the subject of bitter dispute.
That's Saturday fortnight.
Mr. Harris here.
George, come in.
But first, the Harris venture comes to the attention of a senior public servant, the Secretary to the Treasury.
Minister, see it my way. I hear that a Melbourne businessman tells you that he's prepared to look for some loan money when he's abroad. Then I find out that it's George Harris, president of the Carlton Football Club.
Well, football is just one of George's interests. The important fact is that he's a successful businessman who knows his way around.
Would you mind signing these, please, Jim?
It's our concern at Treasury that Harris does not represent a major underwriting group or a well-known bank.
Fred, if you only do things the way they've always been done, things don't change. But we live in times where nothing's certain. People everywhere are looking for new ways. Even public servants shouldn't cling to the past. Thank you, Junie.
Thanks, Jim.
Minister, as head of the Treasury, it's my duty to protect government finances and to supervise the way it raises loans.
Harris is not raising any loans. I've merely asked him to look around for cheap sources of funds.
But we have our own people to do that.
Yes, and they go to the same people they've always gone to, and we pay 11, 12, 13% interest instead of maybe 8 or 9%.
Minister, I feel that whatever qualifications this George Harris has, you should,
Excuse me, Fred. Kane speaking. Oh, yeah? Yes, when? Yes, all right, well, tell him I'll be there. Yes, bye. Now, Fred, I want you to understand why I'm so interested in seeing if Harris can put us in touch with some cheap funds. I want to get the Australian Industries Development Commission onto a firm footing. Now, properly funded, the AIDC will be crucial in getting Australian industry owned by Australians.
I'm not arguing with that. But let's get the money flowing through the proper channels.
Well, yes. Now, that's just what the Americans told me. Anything to keep their hands in our pockets.
Minister, I must insist, for the sake of efficiency, that all future loan inquiries be referred directly to Treasury.
Well, so you can bugger them up.
On the contrary, I'm concerned to preserve the good name of the Australian government in Western financial circles.
Because in Western financial circles, it's believed that Arabs are an unreliable bunch of wogs. Is that it?
On February the 1st, 1975, the resort town of Terrigal plays host to the Federal Conference of the Labour Party. In a prophetic address, Gough Whitlam warns that the government will bitterly resist any attempt to force another election. Events will prove it's no idle threat. Meanwhile, in another part of the Hotel Florida, Jim Cairns and Junie Morosi are making news of their own.
Isn't, not entirely suited to a married woman.
Well, that's up to the woman, isn't it?
Married women have to give up such a lot as it is. For their husbands, their children. I think that when they get more time, they should be allowed to do what they want.
That's right. It's for her to decide. Who is it?
It's me, Jeff.
My press secretary. We're busy, Jeff.
What is it, Jeff?
It's another interview.
Look, relax. It's nothing political.
Junie, right now, Jim doesn't need any more publicity.
I know the journalist, okay? I trust her.
She's from the tabloid press.
That's right.
Do you think they'll give you a fair go?
Look, it's nothing to do with party politics.
Well, do you mind telling me what it is about?
Women's issues.
We're almost finished in here, Jeff. I'll catch up with you later.
We'll go over it then.
I don't bother. I'll read all about it.
You have to find the money for it.
What's the problem?
Jeff's frightened to let Jim out of his sight.
Oh, well, look, I've got enough now anyway. Thanks awfully. I can see all this controversy hasn't been easy for you.
Oh, well, you can't blame people too much. We've all been conditioned by society to concern ourselves with trivia. Quite often, the really important things get overlooked. More coffee?
Oh.
Yes, only the other day, actually, a colleague of yours asked me if I was in love with Junie. Well, I said it had nothing to do with the kind of love he was talking about.
Ben, could you get me a shot of Junie over by the window?
I said that love is a word that has many meanings. It can range from the kind of thing I might have for the Vietnamese people to the kind of thing his boss had for money. I mean, surely you can't trust somebody in this world unless you feel something akin to a kind of love for them.
Did he know what you meant?
No, I think after all that he didn't.
Dr. Kerr said that Miss Morosi had a remarkable ability to understand people and to put that understanding into effect. But the most controversial comments were about his feelings for his secretary. Dr. Kerr said, surely you can't...
It's done untold damage, Jim, believe me.
Well, that's the difficulty, Jeff. I don't believe you.
The whole country's either laughing or depressed. They think they're carrying on like a lovesick kid.
That's your opinion, is it, Jeff?
It's what people are thinking and saying. Geez, if I don't tell you, mate, who's going to? I reckon Gough's face was a picture when he saw the article.
Oh, you said nothing to me about it.
Well, what about your electorate? You care what they think. The people that put you there.
Yes, I hope they'll see I'm taking a stand against prejudice.
Well, how by spilling your guts to the sun?
Jeff, if we haven't got our message across this time, I'll give another interview and another and another until we do.
That's what Junie wants, is it?
Jeff, I really don't think there's much point in discussing this any further, is there?
Okay, now let's talk about my resignation. Because you sure as hell don't need a press secretary with Junie running your PR.
All right, Jeff. I accept your resignation.
Oh, no, mate. You want me out of here, you're going to have to sack me.
All right. You're sacked.
Oh, listen, mate. If I'm the first to go, I'm not going to be the last. Pretty soon, you're going to lose everyone who's worked for you and cared about you. You want to know why? Her. One day, mate, when Morosi's Prime Minister, you're going to make a bloody good chauffeur.
Yes.
At its first meeting of the year, Cabinet announces that Attorney General Lionel Murphy, a senator from New South Wales, has been appointed to the High Court. Although it is the 5th time an Attorney General has gone to the bench, New South Wales Premier Tom Lewis is scandalised by what he claims is a blatant political appointment. And Tom Lewis, a Liberal, will decide who's to replace Lionel Murphy in the Senate. On Monday, February the 10th, Lewis drops a bombshell. He announces that he will ignore one of the basic conventions of Australian politics. He will not fill a casual Senate vacancy with a member of the same political party. Although the decision is bitterly condemned by prominent politicians of all parties, forcing Lewis to appoint an independent and not a Liberal, the damage has been done. A fundamental convention of Australian democracy has been demolished.
Mr. Whitlam, Premier Lewis has justified his action by asserting Senator Murphy's appointment to the High Court was a political exercise.
There was no mention of political appointment when Sir Garfield Barwick, as the Liberal Attorney General, was appointed to the High Court in 1964. The actions of Mr. Lewis pose as serious a threat to the stability and security of Australia's parliamentary system as we have experienced ever in our history. When violence is done to an important convention, to a well-established custom, then violence is done to democracy itself.
4 months have now passed since Rex Connor launched Tirath Kemlani on his search for massive overseas loans. But despite Kemlani's constant reassurances, there is still no money. Finally, Connor summons him to Australia.
Now look, Mr. Kemlani, people are starting to say I'm being foolish in trusting you. And I'm beginning to think so too.
Your Excellency, I've been speaking to many, many people, and I'm more than sure they will not let us down.
Yes, Mr. Kemlani, but can you get the money?
Your Excellency, we are very near the goal desired.
So you keep saying, but when?
I'll just mention one name that is known to you already. Mr. L. Mondoris, yes?
Go on.
I had an appointment to see him when I received your telex that you wanted to see me. So here I am, and he's in London. Except for my visit here, I might have concluded this deal satisfactorily by this date already.
You've told me of about 50 people like that. When's one of them going to come good?
We are very close, Your Excellency. Very close, I promise. Of course, it would be much easier, I assure you, if you could supply me with a letter of mandate.
You know our agreement. You'll get your letter when you've tied up the dough.
Yes, of course. Yes, I understand. Very good. No problem. Yes.
Day after day, Connor and his staff wait. Their only link with Kemlani, a telex machine. Overseas, the Pakistani broker blazes a trail through the banking houses of 3 continents. The Australian loan, supposedly confidential, ricochets around world financial circles. Still, the message is the same. Just a few more days.
Bugger him.
As the government's funny money deal drags on, as the number of prospective lenders multiplies, it's only a matter of time before the leaks begin. A handful of public servants, either politically opposed to the government or concerned at its methods, relay confidential information to an eager opposition. In the post-Watergate era of investigative journalism, the press not only picks up the story, but prosecutes it with a newfound determination. Within months, what starts as a trickle of information about strange Arab loans will become a flood of allegations and rumor.
Someone sprung a leak, comrade. It's only a matter of time. How's it all going?
Had a telex last night. Kimlani says any day now.
He's been saying that for some time, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's really onto it now. Once we've got that money, we can spike anyone's guns.
You're right, Rex, but time is starting to run against us.
We'll clinch it any day now, Gough.
Comrade, once the Liberals get onto this, they won't let go. It threatens too many interests. Get in touch with Kimlani and press it home. Time, Rex, is of the absolute essence.
But the Liberals are already onto it. For Rex Connor, time is running out.
Is the government engaged in seeking massive overseas loan funds from the Middle East? If so, will the Minister for Minerals and Energy make a full explanation to the House?
The Honourable Minister for Minerals and Energy.
Mr. Speaker, I have noticed a report concerning this matter in one of the metropolitan journals. Matters relating to the currency, loans, and commercial credit of the nation should be handled with the utmost discretion. I am acting accordingly.
You haven't answered the question.
The Connor loan, however, is not the only one that's coming apart. Treasury is now deeply concerned about the Harris letters.
Minister, we've spoken before about the dangers of conducting loan dealings through your private office here.
As opposed to your private office in Treasury.
I'm afraid I must tell you that your friend George Harris is in London, passing around a letter, supposedly from you, in which you offer a commission of 2.5% on any money he might raise.
No, just a minute. Your information's obviously wrong.
The source is impeccable.
No, I gave George Harris a letter of introduction, nothing more.
So you have given Harris a letter?
Yes. But there was no mention of any specific commission. If and when he finds money, the arrangement is he comes back to me first, and then we talk commission.
My advice, sir, is that you withdraw all letters pertaining to loan raising. Let Treasury look after those matters.
Right, you've made your point, Fred.
The rumours that have been persisting for some time ought now to be regarded as baseless, without foundation. And that anybody who repeats them ought to be regarded as a mere peddler of rumour.
No sooner has Bill Snedden survived one leadership challenge than the rumours begin again. In private discussions with party members and unsourced stories in the press, the supporters of Malcolm Fraser make it clear they're only biding their time.
I can only assume that the matter having been put to the party, that should be an end of it. To tell you the truth, I'm sick to death of it. The malice, the distrust, the rumours. It's bloody ridiculous. Am I leader of the opposition or not?
Of course you are, Bill.
Phil, I know that you as deputy leader support me. But what's your position, Malcolm? You going to turn on me the same way you did on Gordon?
That'd be ridiculous.
Come on. You're not going to tell me the press make up stories about a Malcolm Fraser challenge?
I'm not organizing a challenge against you, Bill. I can assure you of that.
If you really mean it, and I hope you do, then for the sake of the party, you should kill the speculation. I want you to make a statement of your support to the press.
Of course, Bill. I repeat, as I've said on numerous occasions, that I support the party room decision of last November, and that I support the elected leader of the Liberal Party. Neither I nor colleagues of mine on my behalf are promoting a challenge to Bill Snedden. There is no contest. Our need is for stability in the Liberal Party. Our purpose must be to work for the defeat of the Labour government at the earliest opportunity. I'll release it in time for the morning papers.
You can see for yourselves. Labour's in real trouble.
Just look at that, Reg. We're way ahead.
Never trust opinion polls.
Come on, Reg, you know we're in front. What's happening? Seen us?
Yeah, we've got them on the run.
Christ, we only had an election.
We don't need an election, fellas. We need a new leader. Support for coalition, 49%. Approval of Bill Snedden, 25%.
I have expected and assumed loyalty and confidence from each and all of you. And I have given it to you. We have a shadow ministry. Each of you has been appointed by me. If any one of you has not been able to give me loyalty and confidence, he should have told me. None of you have done so. I will be glad to see anyone privately. I'll be in my office for the next 15 minutes. Bill?
Oh, Bill. I've already given you my support. As I said to the other fellows, Phil here can back me up. There's no question of anyone standing while you're leader. Simple as that.
Bill, a lot of the fellas would feel easier if there was another vote on the leadership.
We've done that once, and the matter's settled.
Well, this would clear up the issue once and for all. Right, fellas?
Your one was the best thing, Bill.
What are your feelings on this, Phil?
Well, I think you should do it, Bill, for the good of the party. Gentlemen, as the motion has been carried, I now declare that the position of leader of the Liberal Party is vacant. Would all candidates for the office please stand?
Just a minute, Phil.
Yes, Ian?
Are you running too?
No. Our voting will be by secret ballot.
Fraser.
Snedden? Snedden? Fraser. Snedden? Fraser? Fraser?
Gentlemen, result of the ballot is Snedden, 27 votes. Fraser, 37 votes. We have a new leader. Congratulations, Milton.
to 27. Yeah. No, they just came out. Bill seems to take all right.
Yes, very
fine, really. Yes. Sam, there's going to be a lot more to do.
Staley?
A lot more work.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak up, please?
There'll be less time for you and the kids.
Oh, yes, he's right here. Who's speaking? Sorry?
What? Of course I please. It's the most significant day of my life.
Yes, Prime Minister. I'll just get it for you. Hang on.
One day that might be more significant. Well, it's either the day I married you or the day I become Prime Minister.
It's Gough.
Who?
Gough.
Tam, I have to go. It's Whitlam. Gough. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he wants to offer me a job. Yeah, I'll see you tonight. Yeah. Hello?
Congratulations, Malcolm. I look forward to some epic clashes in the House.
Thank you. I look forward to meeting you. And beating you.
How does it feel to be Fraser, the leader?
Mr. Fraser, over the past few months, there's been a lot of talk about the opposition forcing an early election by rejecting supply. Could you clear that up once and for all?
I want to get talk about elections out of the air so the government can get on with the job of governing. I generally believe that if government is elected to power in the lower house and has the numbers and can maintain the numbers in the lower house, then it is entitled to expect that it will govern for the 3-year term, unless quite extraordinary events intervene.
What sort of events would you regard as extraordinary?
You seem to be suggesting that you would, in fact, welcome an early election.
Mr. Fraser, you've not really quashed election speculation.
If we do make up our minds at some stage that the government is so reprehensible that an opposition must use whatever power is available to it, then I would like to find a situation in which we made that decision and Mr. Whitlam woke up one morning finding the decision had been made and he'd been caught with his pants well and truly down.
I'm beginning to understand now why his colleagues call him the prefect.
It's 5 minutes before 2, and time for the 2CN weather watch. Firstly, in the national capital, it's another cold morning. I guess you're aware of that. It's going to be even colder, folks, falling down to 5 degrees from the present 8 degrees centigrade. But the Bureau says in Canberra, it'll be fine with light to moderate northeasters.
Come on. Up you get.
What time is it?
2 a.m., time you went home.
Call you a cab, Rex.
Don't worry about me, Joan. I've got more work to do before morning.
No, Mr. Connor.
Night to you, blokes. Drive carefully.
Finish up quickly now and get home to bed.
Okay.
Promise?
Night, Joan. Thanks.
My question is addressed to the Minister for Minerals and Energy.
By mid-year, Tirath Kemlani still hasn't delivered on his promises. But the Connor loan has become much more than a matter of economic policy. It's emerging as a major political scandal.
And a copy of the Executive Council minute authorizing him to act
Was
on
this person offered a commission? variously reported at $20 million and $80 million.
Correct that the Exchange Commission refused to allow the $100 million loan with the United States to go through until such time as...
Conventional banking houses and banking channels, not you.
What qualifications and experience recommended the agent to the government?
Or any other person receive any payments for services?
The Minister for Minerals and Energy table in Parliament a copy of the letter provided to the government loan-raising agency.
In an atmosphere of ever-mounting disclosure, the Executive Council meets on May the 20th.
As we are all aware, Treasury is raising a routine loan from the Morgan Stanley in New York. Unfortunately, Rex, United States law requires that while we are in the process of raising loans from an American bank, we must have no other loan negotiations outstanding. Since you still retain authority to pursue a loan, I'm afraid that that authority will have to be revoked. Okay? So from this day, 20th of May, all loan negotiations being carried out by the Minister for Minerals and Energy and his department will cease.
Three days after Connor's loan-raising authority is revoked, Khemlani contacts him.
It's from Khemlani.
Do not think I shall say much now and explain too much until the final arrangement, which shall be deciding the matter soon, within the next few hours.
They won't let you, Rex.
I know that. Take this message, please. Dear Mr. Khemlani, I await further specific communication from your principal lenders.
Ironically, it's yet another of Khemlani's so-called promises, but the fact is, Rex Connor continues the negotiations without the authority to do so.
I'm sorry, Dr. Kent is overseas for the next 3 weeks. No, Miss Morosi's away too. Would you like to speak to Mr. Hayden? Could you hold the line, please? Mr. Hayden, telexes.
What's that?
That's one for the treasurer.
I am the treasurer, at least for the next 3 weeks.
I mean, it's for Jim.
I'll look after it.
Well, if you care to leave me your name, I'll give it to him when he gets back. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Who's this Harris? What's he arranging a loan for?
I don't know, sir. I think he's a friend of Dr. Cairns.
All right.
I direct a question to the Prime Minister. Is it a fact that a report in respect of the government's overseas borrowings was given by the Bank of England to the Treasury in London? Does the report contain information from Scotland Yard? Is he aware that the report, which is on Treasury files, has been available for the past 4 months?
Leaks I'm used to, but I do not like finding out information about my government from the opposition. Get me Sir Frederick Wheeler on the phone. Better still, ask him to see me. I don't care where he is. Get him.
Prime Minister, if Mr. Kemlani had been the official representative of one of our established sources of finance, such an inquiry would not have been necessary.
We know all about Kemlani. We had him checked out ages ago.
Mr. Connor is not the only minister with an agent looking for funds abroad. There's Dr. Cairns as well.
I assume you're referring to his friend, George Harris?
You know about the Harris letter.
What Harris letter?
It seems the Treasurer has given this Harris fellow a letter authorizing him to look for funds while he's in Europe. The letter appears to put the government under some obligation to pay Harris for his services.
Whose opinion is that?
Government law officers. I asked them to look into it for me. We've been told that Harris possibly has another letter promising him a specific commission. But the Treasurer tells me that's not correct.
Does Dr. Cairns know you've sought legal opinion on his letter?
No.
When does Jim return from Paris?
In about 2 weeks.
Tell him to return by the end of the week. And as if that isn't enough, I learned from Wheeler that you've got some friend traipsing around Europe looking for money.
George Harris is a highly respected businessman. He was going to Europe, so I asked him to check out the money market. Now, that's completely within my authority.
That is neither here nor there. Your letter to George Harris clearly implies an agency relationship.
Yes, but I'm entitled to do that. That's part of my job.
But you told no one about it. Now, before you commission someone to go looking for money, you should tell Cabinet first. Discuss it. Clear it. Not just do it. I want you to resign as treasurer.
Resign?
Yes, Jim. You can have Hayden's portfolio. He can take yours.
But it's not over for Jim Cairns. Not yet. There's worse to come. The matter of a letter which offers George Harris a commission of 2.5%. A letter, the text of which a Sydney businessman provides to the opposition.
Marshall Green has said that per capita, Australia is the world's most resource-rich nation. Australia's proven recoverable reserves of minerals and energy are worth, on a present-day calculation, $5,700 billion. An astronomical figure, gentlemen. In future, they'll be worth even more. The best security ever offered to overseas lenders.
Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Flinders.
Mr. Speaker, I direct the question to the member for Laylaw. Did he, in a letter dated on or about the 5th of March, offer a commission of 2.5% for any loan money arranged by the recipient of that letter or his company?
The honourable member for Layla.
Mr. Speaker, the answer is no. At no stage did I offer a commission of 2.5% or any other amount, or give any authority whatever to a person to do anything other than to make inquiries.
No brokerage fee?
No brokerage fee. Would the honourable member like to ask more questions?
There's no doubt about that. The same man signed both letters. Dear Dr. Cairns, photostat copy of the letter of March 7th, where you promised George Harris a commission of 2.5%.
copy is to bear your signature. There is a total discrepancy between this letter and the statement made by you to the House on June 4th. I do not regard your explanations as in any way satisfactory. Since you write that you do not intend to resign from any office you hold, I must advise the Governor-General to terminate your commission. You are now dismissed from all office in my government. Yours sincerely, E.G. Whitlam.
What are your plans now, Dr. Kerr?
What do you intend doing?
After 21 years in federal parliament, Lance Barnard, one of Whitlam's closest friends, resigns because of failing health. Barnard's resignation, described by one Labour leader as an act of political lunacy, causes a by-election for his Tasmanian seat of Bass. A one-time safe Labour seat, the area has been hard hit by unemployment and recession.
I tell you what, the government at the present time, what they should do with them, they should do the same as the bloody Japs done to us poor bastards.
What's that?
Starve them to death, the bastards. They're not worth a pinch of cold water.
Well, it started as a swing, but now there's every indication of a landslide. The latest figures from the tally room in Launceston confirm that the government is suffering a disaster in the by-election for Bass. The Liberals needed only a swing of 2% to take the seat, but the latest figures, and they're the final figures for the night, show that that swing is much more likely to be of the order of 17%, and there's no doubt that Bass is lost to the government.
Bass is won. The government is Malcolm Fraser's for the taking. All he needs is an election. Narration spoken by Peter Carroll.